Okay, our first topical issue this evening is in the name of Deputy Owen Murphy, and the question is to the Minister for Education and Skills: the increase in demand for primary school places in September 2014 in Dublin South East. 4 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. If it's in order, we might move to the Minister's reply immediately if he agrees. It is his constituency and he's aware.
You're asking that the Minister reply immediately?
Yeah.
Is that okay with you, Minister?
Indeed.
Great. Thanks.
We do our business very smartly in Dublin.
That's great. Glad to hear.
I want to thank Deputy Murphy for raising this matter. It gives me the opportunity to remind the House of the significant challenges facing us in terms of meeting increasing demand for pupil places throughout the country in the coming years and how they are to be addressed. Primary enrolments, which have already risen substantially in recent years, are projected to rise by over another 37,000 pupils by 2015, and they are set to continue to rise, with a likely peak at around 596,000 pupils to be catered for in 2019. This compares with some 526,000 pupils enrolled in primary schools for the current academic year, or for last year, I should say. The Deputy rightly points out that the Dublin South East area is among those where some of this increases in creating pressure for extra school places, and this has been felt very strongly in the short term. The Department has already highlighted the Dublin South East area as one that will need extra school places from 2014 onwards. The Deputy will be aware that the Department uses a GIS system to identify where the pressure for school places will arise. The GIS uses data from the Central Statistics Office, the Ordnance Survey of Ireland, and also the Department of Social Protection, in addition to the Department's own databases. It also uses data from the local authorities. With this information, the Department carried out a study of the country to identify where there will be a requirement for a significant additional school provision at both primary and post-primary. Over the coming years, and also in the Dublin South East area, these areas surfaced as needing extra school places under this particular process. In June of 2011, I announced the need for the establishment of 20 new primary schools, talking approximately about 500 pupils per school, 20 new primary schools to cater for increased demographics across a number of locations up to and including 2017. This includes the establishment of a new school for Dublin South East area. The school, known as the Shelleybanks Educate Together School, which is opening this coming September, will be located initially in start-up accommodation in Ballsbridge, and it will cater for demand for pupil places from the Sandymount Ringsend Irishtown area. It is planned that the new school will provide an additional 16 mainstream classrooms for the area when it is fully developed, or more if extra capacity is needed. The Department is currently working on acquiring permanent accommodation for the school. But this alone, this alone is not enough. And additional capacity is being provided in other schools in the area too. The building project to facilitate the amalgamation and expansion of 2 schools is facilitated in the 5-year construction programme that I announced in March of 2012. The project is currently at an advanced stage of architectural planning, and this project will provide further classrooms for the Dublin South East area when completed. The Department is also working closely with some of the other schools in the area to address enrolment issues in the shorter term, starting next September. These schools include Canon O'Hanlon Memorial School, otherwise known as Star of the Sea in Sandymount, St Bridget Convent School in Haddington Road, and Lakelands in Guildford Road. I wish to record my thanks to the schools for their help and support in this matter. In tandem, the Department is examining the most up-to-date demographic data available for the area to determine further needs and to ensure that these are met in a timely manner. I will continue with the Department to monitor the situation to ensure that every pupil seeking a place in the area can have access to one.
Thank you, Minister. Deputy, 2 minutes supplementary.
I welcome your reply, Minister, and of course you also represent this constituency, so you're fully aware of all of the issues involved. And I very much welcome the reforms that you're bringing into the school admissions process, and they're being received very well in general in the constituency and in the country, and also the advanced school building programme. But you'll be getting the same correspondence as I have from parents who are thinking about deferring sending their children to school in September of 2014, some who have moved to baptise their children in a matter of weeks just to try and get them up the lists, and others who have had to go to other family members to try and help with moving to pay for private education because they can't get into a local state school. And you rightly identified some of the schools where there are a lot of problems, also St Belmont's, of course, or St Mary's on Belmont Avenue. But in the case for September 2014, is it a possibility that we could, for example, have an extra classroom in a new Educate Together school for Shelley Banks? Is it a possibility that there might be a site that's currently a temporary site, for example, somewhere like Harcourt Terrace, that could be expanded on a temporary basis? Could property be leased? And as well as that, in terms of the possible solutions, to what extent are the schools and through the school boards, the parents being informed of all the efforts you're taking to try and resolve the situation? Because as each week moves on, parents become more frantic about it. Thank you, Chair.
Deputy Minister, 2 minutes.
I welcome the Deputy's comments and his recognition of what we're trying to do. Part of the problem is that the GIS system, which registers the physical location of every child benefit payment from 1-year-old, 2-year-old and 3-year-old, works very accurately and very satisfactorily in areas where, for example, outside a town like Clonakilty, for example, you'd have a fair idea, or Donegal town, what the growing population was in advance and the likelihood of presenting in the nearest urban area. In a large urban area like Dublin, you have people who've moved to the suburbs who grew up perhaps in the inner city area and whose children are now wanting to go to school. They're bringing them back into the city centre as they're entitled to do, and the grandparents are perhaps providing support services after school. So our ability to measure and capture the numbers of people looking for places in big urban areas, whether it's in Cork, Limerick, Galway or Dublin, is less clear and less sophisticated, self-evidently, than it is in different parts of the country where the growth in demand can only be accommodated in the area most likely to accommodate it. They're not going to travel miles and miles in another direction. Notwithstanding that, the increase in the numbers has caught us to a certain extent by surprise, and we are looking at emergency measures to get extra accommodation. You've referred to some of them. We've had one setback in relation to one school, the Amalgamation School on Haddington Road, St. Bridget's and St. Mary's, where planning permission, everything was got in the normal way, and then there was an appeal lodged literally in the last working day, of which perfectly valid, perfectly entitled to so do. Difficulties around issues of traffic, and we're hoping that the appeal process can be expedited as quickly as possible. But to thank the Deputy for bringing this matter to the attention of the House, because it is an issue, and I will communicate with him and other colleagues in the constituency.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Deputy.